Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Edgar Soto alongside Henry Cruz. And today we are recapping WWE Bash in Berlin and NXT No Mercy. Henry, how's it going, my guy?
Good, man. There was a lot of wrestling this weekend. Saturday, it was a 1:00 pay-per-view, which was weird time for everybody. But early pay-per-views are sort of better, but then it's sort of like the night is like meh. Bash sort of went how we sort of all saw it would go when we did our last episode. So I'm not pretty surprised in that. No Mercy was a little interesting just because of some of the bookings. Just got to give a shout out to the Don of NXT for completing that match with his ankle being the way it was. That was crazy. And we finally got one of the big three signings for the women's division, which I know we'll talk about more later on in the episode. But Julia is officially part of the WWE. So that was
pretty much one down, two to go, right?
And probably more names are probably going to be coming. There's more rumored to be signing with WWE soon. So it's gonna be an interesting time for wrestling and just the industry in general. I think we're going to see a lot of names flip-flopping between brands and more names trying to come back. So shout out to Matt Cardona. Woo, woo, woo. You know, he's trying to come back too. So we'll see.
We will see. So let's kick things off with WWE Bash in Berlin, which, I thought it was a very successful event for them. I think all the matches, pretty much surpass expectations. Even though it was a short card of 5 matches, I think.
I feel like WWE is doing the smaller cards now. They said they're going to do that just to get more, obviously more quality as opposed to having more matches. I like it, but
right.
would I like more matches sometimes? I think so because I don't know. For me, I know we're going to get into NXT later on, but NXT ended sort of like a weird time, like 9:40. 9:45-ish, which was sort of like a weird 15-minute window where I wondered, how come it didn't go to 10 o'clock or they couldn't stretch some things. It was a little bit of a weird timing issue there, I think. I don't know if it was they cut it short. It was perfect, but I like the pay-per-views to go let's say you want to do 2 hours, maybe 10:01, 10:02 for something happening or nothing, just whatever. But it was sort of a weird ending. It was a great pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the timing thing is sort of weird for me.
I have no problem with the timing. I just wish there was at least maybe 1 or 2 more matches. I think, when you have 6, 7 matches on a card, I think that's perfect. 5, I think it's just too short, but I can see why it's more time to,
yeah, but develop. if it's ending earlier, then
right.
it should be an extra match. But if it's if it's 5 matches, but you got to elaborate storytelling purposes and different things like that, I'm all for it. But if you're going to have 5 matches and a pay-per-view ends at 9:45, 9:40, and you still had 20 minutes to 10 o'clock, 15, 20 minutes between then and 10 o'clock, you could have done something in there, had some type of swerve or something happen in one of the matches. I don't know. That's just me. Besides that, I think both pay-per-views are solid. I'm happy No Mercy has become sort of a staple again.
Right.
Probably one of the GOAT games for the N64 back in the day. So, just a shout out to the video game avid lovers out there. N64, No Mercy was goated in the streets.
Ooh.
Yep, I have that too. I have it in my basement. But, I'm just happy to see it. They were both solid pay-per-views. I think there was an interesting moment when we get through the matches and go through the matches at Bash. I do want to talk about later, but I'm going to let you take over and we'll start going over the recap of the matches.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with the opening match for Bash in Berlin. It was Cody Rhodes defending his undisputed WWE Championship match against Kevin Owens, in which he was successful in doing so. Mm-hmm. Again, this was a fantastic opening match. And I think the big picture here was Kevin Owens possibly costing himself the undisputed WWE Championship match. The fact that he kept refusing to do old movesets that he, is so used to doing, right?
He did. You mean heel Owens?
Exactly, the prize fighter Owens, right? The one who would absolutely destroy Cody Rhodes' injured knee if needed be, right? The one who would actually deliver a apron power bomb if he has to. But
we're going to get a slow burn heel turn for Kevin Owens.
I mean, I hope so. Listen, I think Kevin Owens' best work is as a heel.
I also think WWE saw a lot of the fan outcry and backlash towards turning KO heel so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think because a lot of fans, if you notice on social media, like on X and Instagram and just everywhere in general, a lot of fans will talk about how this is the typical KO thing, that he's going to do his thing. And I if I remember correctly, so I believe a lot of the Triple H checks a lot of the internet communities to see what they post and do stuff like that. So he's very keen on what's going on and pays attention to that kind of stuff. So I'm sure they didn't want to have a repeat of, oh, let's do that. So maybe in their mind, they're like, yeah, well, let's turn KO heel slowly and let us slow. Now, I don't think he's going to turn heel against Cody anytime soon. I think eventually we will get a heel KO versus Cody, but I think that's being teased for the future. Same thing as Randy being teased for the future versus
for storyline purposes, right?
For story, I think that's just going to be the same. It makes no sense at the current moment because Randy Orton's white hot as a face, and so is KO. It makes absolutely zero sense to turn him right now. Now in this moment.
So where do we go? All right, so what's next for KO? Because obviously, what's next for Cody Rhodes is a match with Solo Sikoa. We know that, we've established that. It's been teased.
Let's not forget we got the OTC in the hunt too. So let's not.
I know, but I think the match going forward would be Cody Rhodes versus Solo, and then maybe Roman.
I think we're gonna get a triple threat match
between
Solo,
Roman, and Rhodes.
Yep. Okay. I feel like that might be interesting because think about it. There's history there with Cody and Roman. We all know that. There's also history between Solo and Cody, and then there's now history between Roman and Solo. It makes sense booking wise. I don't know if they'll do it right now and pull the trigger.
Who knows? We might get a. I think Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, seen that, done that. What if it's Cody Rhodes versus Jacob?
Jacob's heel now, so that would make sense.
Right, and it would make sense, right? And this is where
Jacob's a beast. That's all.
Right, and then here you can set up the return of Jimmy Uso. It's been teased now that Roman Reigns, the numbers game has gone, has gotten to him, right? And we know, Roman can't battle the bloodline by himself. So I think this is where you tease the return of Jimmy Uso, and then obviously, the story will unfold itself. But
I'm gonna say this too. A lot of people talk about Jacob and WWE, like, oh yeah, they're gonna nerf him and stuff like that. I don't believe in that whole nerfing moveset nonsense that people spew out there. I think what it is that these moves that people see, they're like, holy shit, this is crazy. But at the same time, if you really go back and you really study a wrestler's catalog of moves they've done in the indies or whatever, you could probably count maybe a handful of times on both hands how many times they've done that move in all their matches. It's not a move that they do very often. So I don't think WWE nerfs it per se. I think they're more of the, how can we execute this move safely? Can this person do this move safely over that? It's not, oh, they nerfed them. Like, everybody's saying, oh, they're going to nerf Julia. I don't think they're necessarily going to nerf Julia per se. Anything with the neck, maybe they might alter it or tweak it, which is fine, because obviously we know neck injuries are a serious thing in wrestling, and we could have saw one this week on TV on Impact, or I believe it was Impact on Dynamite or Collision, I forget which one, but Tomohiro Ishii got landed on his head against Kyle Fletcher. Like things like that, you don't know what can happen with neck injuries. Like the only one that perfected any type of neck move was The Undertaker. And he's been doing that move for how many years? Longer than I've been alive. Let's just put it like that. Longer than we've been alive. But yeah, I think back to the match. I think, KO, I don't know where he's going to go to. I think they're just going to tease a slow burn of a heel turn. I think slowly but surely he's going to start using his old moves again. We're going to get the Popper Powerbomb.
Yeah.
We're going to get the Buckle Bomb. He's slowly but surely. He's going to still be a face, but I think he's gonna have some heelish things come out. But my thing is, I don't want them to do to him what they did to Bianca Belair, where they sort of teased Bianca going heel and then they just scrapped it all together. I
Right.
hope they don't do that to him because that would sort of not make sense. Like I get it right now, he's sort of like they're teasing, he's battling the demons. Oh, I want to do this move. It cost him. Granted, he
Yeah.
could have won.
Right. Yeah, and that's again that's another possibility that WWE can go to. That they can run this back, right? Because obviously what happened at Bash in Berlin was the fact that Kevin Owens failed to capitalize on Cody Rhodes once Cody Rhodes was vulnerable, right? The fact that the prize fighter who is known to have this, I guess you can say killer instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he was in NXT, when he was brought to the main roster, right? And then not using those in a big time match, I think it's going to get to Kevin Owens. And like you said, we could possibly see a slow heel turn for Kevin Owens. So,
and I'm gonna say this: I think eventually, at some point down the line, if we get a heel Kevin Owens and we have a face Sami Zayn, we're definitely going to get KO versus Sami again.
Yeah,
Those two together produce bangers. But there is one interesting person that is on my radar for KO, and I'm gonna name him right now: CM Punk.
Okay.
I don't think that placement of I don't talk to CM Punk, we don't talk, we're not friends. I don't think that's out there for no reason. I don't play that. I don't think that's a thing. I think that's part of a storyline in the future that they're going to go to. I think eventually.
It could happen. It's just getting both of them on the same brand, right?
Right. Or they could be different brand too. You never know. It could be sort of like a swap where they get to use them because we've seen it. Obviously with A-Town Down Under and Randy Orton, competing on basically Raw for a bit. So I mean, It could happen, but I think that's going to be a feud. I feel like KO planted the seeds by making that remark he did. I don't see that being as something just to sort of brush aside. I think there's some substance there, especially when we talk about the outcome of McIntyre and CM Punk.
Yeah. Next match, it was the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match in which Jade Cargill and Bianca once again reclaim the women's tag titles and defeat the Unholy Union.
I feel like this is going to be the beginning of the end for the Jade and Bianca project. I feel like they made them win it just to give them another championship reign as it, maybe a little longer. But I feel like they're going to start planting the seeds slowly of one of them. I don't know who is going to turn on who, but one of them is going heel. Now, we haven't seen Bianca heel since her NXT days, so that's an interesting one. But heel Jade might be interesting too. But I don't know if WWE wants to pull the trigger on putting a heel turn on her so fast, considering that she's new.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're going to go with this. It would be the most obvious person turning. Everybody thinks would be Jade because Jade was a heel in obviously AEW, and she was a face towards the end. But I know Jade doesn't like talking about AEW, and I'm not going to bring that up about her because I know she gets those questions all the time, and it sort of sucks because you're in WWE, but I'm just going based on character purposes. I honestly think we're going to get a heel Bianca Belair at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's either or, right? To be honest with you, we've seen a heel Bianca, right, and we've seen what Jade can do in AEW as a heel.
Right.
Whichever I think whoever they decide to turn, it'll work out, right?
I think it should be Bianca. I'm not sure who you think it should be, but
I mean, I just think Bianca's popularity as a face is high, is quite up there. So I feel like it should be Jade.
But here's the thing, though. They were afraid to turn Bianca because they didn't want to lose her thing. But they were. I just listen, Roman, and look what happened.
I just think, Bianca right now is you can compare her into like the female version of John Cena, right? And the way she connects with the crowd, I think it blends really well. Now with Jade, it's like we've seen what she can do as a heel and in AEW, and I feel like that suits her better. I think Jade as a heel suits her way better than she is as a face, right?
Sure.
So when the time comes, I mean, to be honest with you, when the time comes, whoever turns, I'll be happy with it.
I agree.
Now, when it comes to the unholy union, which they they had a short reign. I was kind of bummed out because they have a lot of potential, and the fact that their championship reign was cut short, and even when they had the women's tag team titles, like they didn't do much, or they weren't booked to do much.
I feel like that's a problem with tag team wrestling in general. Like I feel like these are all the promotion. I feel like they don't know what they're doing with the tag team division. Like I feel like we're getting a lot of short title reigns,
and there's a lot of women's tag teams,
or we're getting redundant tag team champions, and that's my thing. Like as a tag team division, you're supposed to build your division from the ground up, right? Right. So obviously, we know the women's tag team was introduced, and it was always like sort of like an afterthought, and like it's sort of, if you think about it realistically, Shoto, it sort of put some substance into what Sasha Banks and now known as Mercedes Moné and Naomi made comments about before about right. The thing. I know the belt is being featured and whatnot, and kudos to it for being featured, but
it seems like it's being passed around with
it's passed around, and it's an inconsistency.
Right.
Like, why not have the unholy union hold the belts for a little bit?
Yeah,
it's sort of like NXT yesterday when we get to that. Another short title reign as well, but like I feel like tag team wrestling and wrestling in general is sort of like in a flux right now. It's just sort of
I listen. I think what should happen, and this is just my opinion going forward, I think Jade and Bianca should have a dominant run, like a true dominant run until the time comes where they lose the tag titles and then they turn on each other. But
my question is, who are they going to lose it to? Because right now we don't really have a lot of.
No, I think we can think about that down the road, right? But there are tag teams that they can feud with, so they can feud with the Unholy Union. They can feud with with Baszler and Zoe Stark.
The Pure Fusion Collective,
right? Damage Control, right?
I'm just gonna say PFC.
No, but I think they just need one memorable feud. Right?
I'm gonna say actually, just you mentioning a lot of the names. The PFC.
I have one.
Who do you have?
So I feel like Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair should have a feud with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax.
That's interesting. And the other one I was thinking was PFC, because if you're trying to build up a stable, sort of how they did with Damage Control,
you
got to have some champions. Now, who those champions would be interesting, but you got to have some champions in a stable. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, I think with this with this, I guess, questionable alliance with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, I think a feud with them two, with Jade and Bianca, I think it blends really, really well.
But how long? The question is for that feud is how long is Tiffany and Nia going to coexist? Because it already seems like they're teasing a lot of tension.
Right. But you know what? I think you should solidify their alliance by eventually becoming tag titles, tag team champions.
But then we run into that problem again. If they have tension and they turn on each other, then we sort of have, okay, now the tag team titles are being used to blah blah blah. Now there's a whole tournament, so it's sort of that double-edged sword. Like I feel like it's in such a complicated situation right now when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are tag teams that you can put together. There is, well, right now Naomi's by herself, right? But let's say if you make a tag team between like Michin and Bailey, right? You could do that. You could also do, I mean, we already mentioned the Pure Fusion Collective. We've mentioned Damage Control. I mean, there's just, I'm trying to think who else you can put up there, but when it's all said and done, I just think Jade and Bianca definitely needs that dominant run, right? Yes, together they look unstoppable, but it's just the matter of booking and making that tag team championship relevant. That's all that matters. We go on to the strap match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. CM Punk finally gets his revenge on Drew McIntyre, in which, again, it was a chaotic match, as you can expect. Again, crazy to see CM Punk in WWE after all these years, but CM Punk comes out on top. Really interesting moment of the match when CM Punk puts McIntyre in the sharpshooter, and McIntyre actually taps out, which I was like, whoa. I was like, all right, whatever. But the fact that, again, CM Punk was able to secure the bracelet, I think that's probably the moral of the story of this whole story was CM Punk's mission to retrieve that bracelet. I don't see them continuing this feud. I think this was very well the end of this feud. I mean, if it continues, I don't know what you can possibly do. Um, Bad Blood is coming up. October 5th, I think. And if you want to do one last match, I mean, you could do a last man standing match, or you could finish off the rivalry like most rivalries and do a Hell in a Cell. So you have those two. But knowing McIntyre, he's definitely not going to let this go. So, I mean, we'll see what happens on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. But overall, again, it's what you expect a strap match to be: physical, using the strap to your own benefit, and yeah, I mean, this was I had predicted CM Punk to to come out on top on this one, so yeah, we'll see what's next for CM Punk. We'll see what's next for Drew McIntyre. I think CM Punk could go after Gunther, but I think it might be a little too early, but it's still possible. Drew McIntyre, we'll see. All right, personally, if I'm booking this, maybe one last match, right? One last match to finally end this feud. Again, as I mentioned before, last man standing match or Hell in a Cell, and that's it. Then we have, I think, a match that a lot of people were anticipating, right? The mixed tag team match between the Judgment Day's Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio against the Terror Twins, and the Terror Twins come out on top. Again, a match a lot of people wanted to see, especially, Rhea Ripley getting her hands on Dominic Mysterio, choking him out like, she once did, right? But again, listen, the Terror Twins is something that WWE has to capitalize on. The popularity for the Terror Twins will continue to grow, right? And this rivalry that they have going with the Judgment Day is far from over. Again, the Judgment Day has the numbers game, right? So I think we're expected to see some new players into this feud. A couple of weeks back, we mentioned on this podcast that we can possibly see Jey Uso insert himself into this storyline. Maybe Sami Zayn as well. They've teased in the past this kind of like, not romantic, but this flirtatious relationship, right, between Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley, so that can come into play, right? And yeah, I feel like the Terror Twins looking strong right now. Again, we need to see something more from the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day has the numbers game, and we need to see them. I don't know. We just need to see more, right? Like I for one, if I thought initially that Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan were going to win, but yeah, God, I was wrong. Let's see what else. Yeah, but overall, I'm not sure what. Listen, going forward, this is what I think will happen. I think Rhea will once again challenge Liv for the women's championship. As for Damian Priest, Damian Priest needs that one-on-one with Finn Balor, and that could all happen at Bad Blood. Whether Finn Balor returns as the Demon, right? Or again, if we see week after week a beatdown of the Judgment Day towards the Terror Twins, then again we can insert Jey Uso into the mix and possibly Sami Zayn, who we haven't seen in a while. So that would be a nice little matchup. Then we go on to the main event. The main event, which I believe was a classic. In my opinion, I thought it was the match of the night, and that's the World Heavyweight Championship. Sorry. God, I got things going on here. Some technical issues over here. All right, so we got Gunther defeating Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. And again, guys, this was just an instant classic. This is, a dominant champion in Gunther, who's ever since he's been called up to the main roster, it's just been flawless. It's been absolutely flawless. Dominant IC run. Now the world, winning the King of the Ring. Now the World Heavyweight Champion, challenging one of the all-time greats, right? When you think about all-time greats, Randy Orton has to be in discussion. And the crowd, the energy, it felt like one of those like prime time matchups, right? I think Henry's back. Possibly. Henry, you back?
Yes, I'm back.
All right, cool. No. Here discussing the World Heavyweight Championship, the main event, Gunther defeating Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a good match. The moment I want to talk about was the passing of the torch. So it looked like Randy Orton shook Gunther's hand and passed the torch basically to him. So I found that interesting because that's been sort of like one of those things that's happened over the years. I'm not going to talk about Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan don't pass the torch to nobody. And I'm not going to get into that one.
Yeah, no, but the crowd was great. And then you know what? Even before the match started, right? Ludwig Kaiser's introduction of Gunther was priceless. That was great. The pop that got, it was great.
Well, Ludwig was over anyway in Germany.
Yeah.
So
and there's no controversy here. There's no controversy here as Gunther legit put Randy Orton to sleep. There was no, the shoulder was up. No, it was a statement victory. There's no and ifs and buts. No, Gunther absolutely, won this one. And going forward, right? What's next for Gunther? Let's start with the champion. What's next for Gunther? Who do you think will be his next challenger?
That's an interesting one. I'm trying to think heel or face here. I don't think it's going to be Priest. I think they already ran that back, so I don't think they're going to run that back. Rollins is going to be in a feud with Bronson Reed. Wow, this is a hard one.
I said if CM Punk and McIntyre don't go for a final match, right? Mm-hmm. Then it's possibly CM Punk.
I would think so. That would make sense.
but I said like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are probably heading towards that last match, probably like a last man or a Hell in a Cell type match, right? For next month's Bad Blood. But I doubt they'll rerun Gunther and Randy Orton again, and it's really like I'm really trying to think like what's next for Gunther, and trying to see all the the possible players who can challenge Gunther. And right now, I can only think of CM Punk, right? But there has to be something, right? How about for what's next for Randy Orton?
Probably go back to SmackDown. They could probably get a tease the heel turn. Maybe the thing with Cody.
Okay.
Unless he gets traded to Raw, but I don't know if that's going to be a thing. So we'll see. But I could see I think him and KO turning heel at some point. It's just a matter of which one turns first. But it's going to be interesting because now obviously if we get a heel KO and a heel Randy on SmackDown, somebody has to turn face. So we don't know who's going to turn face on SmackDown. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been teasing Theory. I'm going to be honest with you. That's one name. But obviously, Grayson's better as a heel than he is a face. I don't think Grayson's going face anytime soon, ever.
Yeah.
But I don't know who else. It's going to be interesting.
But despite only having 5 shows on this PLE, I thought this was a fantastic show. In which I don't think any of the matches really disappointed.
No, not at all.
I think everything was pretty balanced and again exceeded expectations. And definitely. This was just an excellent show to watch. So,
definitely, 100% agree.
All right, let's move on to NXT's No Mercy, which took place yesterday. We had the opening bout, the NXT Tag Team Champions Nathan Frazier and Axiom defeat Chase U to reclaim the Tag Team Championships.
Again, it goes to my short reigns are just killing Tag Team Wrestling. Why give Chase U the belt for them to lose it? Because you want to push Ridge turning heel and doing Ridge things. I think that could have been done in either way. Anyway, they didn't have to have the belts. For that, they should have just kept Frazier and Axiom as champions.
Right. Unless
you plan on giving the belts to the Rascals. But then, again, just doesn't make sense. I feel like I wasn't happy with it. I'm not saying that the match wasn't fantastic because it was a really good match. I just don't. Again, I don't get these decisions. Why these short championship reigns are a thing now?
Yeah, I don't. So, all right. I'll be honest with you. Axiom
sort of pisses me off if you think about it.
Axiom and Nathan Frazier, I really liked them as a tag team, right? When they were champions. Again, they're fun, they're exciting, right? Because of all the athleticism, high flying abilities they're able to pull, right? And actually, the chemistry, they blend really well, right? So when they lost the championships to Chase U, I wasn't as mad because I was like, you know what? Let's give another team an opportunity. I knew at some point that Ridge Holland would turn heel. It's just the way he moves, very, very funny. And they kind of been teasing it for a while now, right? You've seen Ridge Holland use dirty tactics. And I think for storyline purposes, I'm not as mad. I just think it was too soon. Like you just said, I think they could have been champion for maybe like another month or so and then do what you did, right?
At least at the next pay-per-view. Like shit, man. Like these short reigns are fucking killing me. Like it's just so inconsistent. Like and the thing that bothers me most is like a lot of these writers and everything, they say they're for tag team wrestling and we're all about building the tag team division, but this is not building the tag team division. You just basically, I'm not saying you destroy Chase U, but Chase U is not going to get another chance for the title for a while. And
no, because now it's going to be Chase U versus Ridge Holland, right? That's going to be the feud going up.
And what I think is going to happen is I think eventually Duke Hudson's going to turn on them because remember they had that storyline. Don't forget a long time ago where Duke was about to turn on Chase U. Don't forget about that. We might get a tag team of Duke and Ridge at some point versus Chase and Riley Osborne. That might happen.
I mean, it might happen. As of right now, it's like, all right, Ridge Holland is the one to turn. And again, it's like what you said. all the focus right now is to build him up. Now, when it comes to the tag team division, I don't think the tag team division is too hurt by this because we're in store for a very, very exciting matchup in which Axiom and Nathan Frazier are being challenged by the Rascals. Now, as much as I would like to see the Rascals win, right?
Minus Wesley.
Right. I don't think it's going to happen because Wesley will get involved and cost his former brothers the championship opportunity. But, again, I think what they're doing right now is kind of prepping Axiom and Nathan Frazier because they are a legit tag team. And if they start increasing popularity, they could be a tag team that could be called up to the main roster.
Exactly.
And again,
that's what I'm afraid of, though. Like, I don't like. I get these NXT call-ups and stuff, but I just don't want it to be like where they become a black hole and they disappear, like on the main roster. Because, granted, from what I've seen and from what I've heard in interviews and stuff like that, a lot of times they don't like the smaller guys that do the flips and kicks and all that stuff like that. They want more of the hard-hitting, fast-paced type style on TV. So that scares me a little bit for Frazier and Axiom. Granted, like I said, they're hella talented together. That just scares me for the main roster for them. That's just my biggest concern. I think Ricochet said in an interview they sort of want hard hitting and storytelling as opposed to high flying and spot fest. That's what they call it. So it's an interesting concept to think about.
I don't, I get it, but when I see Axiom and Nathan Frazier, right, they kind of remind me, as exciting as they are, they kind of remind me of Brian Kendrick and Paul London. Remember them?
Yeah, of course.
On SmackDown. So I feel like, and they were exciting, right?
But I was going to say, I disagree with that. I'm not saying I agree. Like, Ricochet is right, though, but I disagree that if that's their mindset when it comes to wrestling, like, you have to have wrestlers that have different styles and you have to adapt and make it work. You can't have only hard hitting and fast pace and this and like that. It's okay to have the wrestlers that are high flying and do the spot fest. That's fine. You had to blend them well together. That's what makes tag team wrestling unique.
No, right. And to be honest with you, I think they have been. I think when it comes to Ricochet, he had his comments to say, right? But I think when it comes to Ricochet, it was just a booking aspect when it comes to Ricochet.
Well, the one thing I disagreed with him, he said that Triple H wasn't really like a fan of him. I think Triple H was a big fan of him. I think it was he got, which I didn't understand why he said that, because that was just like, he's like, oh, you don't want to book me, but Triple H is trying to build you up and start from scratch because you sort of got screwed. You got screwed with Vince.
Exactly. Look at the way Ricochet was being built when he was in NXT, right? This is sidetracked, but yeah, the way he was being booked in NXT, right? I think what killed his whole momentum was, like, remember when he versed Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar beat him in what, like 5 seconds? Like,
yeah, that's because
Vince killed your momentum, and then obviously under Triple H's reign, like he was trying to bring you back up, but
I feel like, I don't know if Nate Frazier and Axiom are going to last as a tag team either, though, because there's also that dynamic where they've teased there's going to be some type of split too. So I don't know how much longer they're going to last too. So
but you know what? I think it's a nice little storyline. It's like, no matter how many differences we have, they still make it work.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I think they inadvertently hit each other like at least 3 or 4 times yesterday. But again, they got the job done and made it work. So they're one of those teams. They're like one of those like clumsy, tag teams. But they make it all work. Their finishes are amazing, and their tag team moveset is incredible. So let's see how far or how long this run will go. Another very exciting match, as we expected, was Zachary Wentz defeating his former brother Wes Lee. Just as Wes Lee was about to take out Zachary Wentz with a table, a chair shot. We'll talk about the table in a second, though. With the chair shot, Trey Miguel made the save. Distracting Wesley, Zachary Wentz capitalized, and finished off Wesley. Now, we saw something very incredible, and that's Wesley probably doing the most world's strongest super kick at Zachary Wentz, which actually broke a table.
Yeah, that was
Actually broke a table. Now, but again, it was a fast pace, very exciting matchup. And I think what was very, very cool, and shout out to WWE, was Zachary Wentz showing up with the X Division Championship. Also, WWE acknowledging the X Division. Again, it shows the cool partnership, and then allowing allowing TNA's X Division champion to defeat one of the best ever North American champions in your own company. I think that's a big win. Shout out to WWE. I mean, it looks right now that this partnership is growing and it's getting better. Even though I will admit, I think WWE right now is getting the best out of TNA. I just hope in the long run, WWE repays TNA and starts sending out, probably like a bigger stars. I mean, I know they've sent Tatum Paxley.
Wesley's been there too.
Yeah, Wesley, right. So hopefully this relationship continues, because actually it's been very, very exciting.
I feel like eventually, how Jordan Grace has been doing the open challenge. I feel like next month, when obviously when we get to this match, whenever Roxanne Perez loses her belt, because that's dead set in stone that she's losing the belt. I feel like that's when Roxanne is going to cross over to TNA and try to challenge Jordan Grace and run it back for the championship.
Repay the favor. Then we got the Women's North American Championship, Kalani Jordan defeating Wendy Chu. And this is probably where I kind of criticize a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing against Kalani Jordan and Wendy Chu, but I thought this was probably the weakest match in the card. I think when it comes to Kalani Jordan, for me, there's something that's not clicking, right? And I think the fact that she kind of needs to be repackaged, similar to the way Roxanne Perez was repackaged. I think
Right.
when Roxanne Perez, I don't question Roxanne Perez's wrestling ability; it is top notch, right?
Oh, definitely.
Now, when she was a face, it was like her mic work, it needed help. Also her character, right? It was like a stale character, but once she went heel mode, like it took off, and it's taking off. Like right now, it's working wonders for her, right? I think the same thing needs to happen to Kalani Jordan at some point. And I'm not going to question Kalani Jordan wrestling ability, because
She's fantastic.
exactly, her athleticism speaks for itself, and it's gret. When it comes to Wendy,
she's like a Sol Ruka basically when it comes to athleticism.
Right.
Fantastic.
I just think this match, I don't know. It just
I just think the build-up wasn't there. I get what they were trying to do, and I understand it, but I think it was just too short of a thing where it didn't have time to sort of build and lead into that match. Like they didn't have any really rubber matches against each other or anything like that. It was like sort of like a match that fell flat. No, again, it's not knocked both of them.
Right.
Because we know they're both fantastic and whatnot, but I just feel like, yeah, maybe a character change. And I did find it interesting at the end of the match, though, when Tatum came in and sort of
took out Wendy too.
Took out Wendy. So that's going to be a feud. So we're going to get sort of dark versus dark, which is going to be very interesting. I'm curious to see how both of their promos and how their ring skills.
To be honest, at one point I think they teased being like on the same page, and I was like, Tatum Paxley teaming up with Wendy Chu, I was like, that could work. And And I like
And,
what
and Tatum Paxley, I'm gonna say this, is hella underrated in the ring. Period.
I was gonna say. Tatum Paxley, character development,
Oh,
like it
hard.
took a turn for the better. The whole thing with the dolls and this like dark persona, like it fits her perfectly. Like she's killing it.
That's good, and it's good for her. She found a niche that works.
Right. So
It's crazy though, because like she found a niche that works, but she was always talented in the ring.
What's next for Kalani Jordan?
For me, honestly, I'm gonna say this, and it sounds crazy. I think she's gonna go after. She's gonna fight Sol Ruka, and I think Sol Ruka is gonna take the belt from her.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they've been. I think they've teased it long enough with the, the obviously when they fought each other and whatnot. I think it's time to pull the trigger on Sol because Sol is over. Obviously, I'm not saying Kalani's like a transition champion because she's not, because she's an inaugural champion. She's always going to go down in history as the first champion. But if they are thinking about repackaging her into a heel, sort of like a la Roxanne Perez, having her lose to Sol and sort of being pissed off and attack her and then going down this route would be sort of a good way to go, I think.
I'm going to go a different route.
I have a feeling who it is. I just want to see it.
I think Kalani Jordan needs to lose to somebody who has not debuted in NXT.
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say that because I don't know. I don't know when she's going to debut. That's why I didn't want to throw that name out there.
I think Kalani Jordan needs to lose to Stephanie Vaquera.
That's the name I've been hearing rumored on X that she might lose to. I've been hearing that, and I'm for it.
I think Stephanie Vaquera. I think she's right now looking at the roster. I feel like she's the most. I mean, yeah, she is NXT bound. I think she's the most ready, and I think honestly, Stephanie Vaquera will take that women's North American Championship to bigger heights. Right?
I'm gonna say this, and don't forget, we still have Delta waiting in the rings.
That's I mean, I think with Delta, it's a little further down.
Yeah.
Which we'll see her in NXT eventually. But I think it's Stephanie Vaquera. I think Kalani Jordan might make a couple of more defenses until she's confronted by Stephanie Vaquera, and I'm like, yep. Let her be champion. So
unless we get a heel champion, and then they get confronted by Stephanie Vaquera too. So Kalani could lose at the next pay-per-view. Now, if we think about the heels in NXT, just if we could think of heels to go against Stephanie Vaquera, who do we really think would be going against her? Because I don't know if it's going to be Kalani per se. I think it's going to be somebody that takes the belt from Kalani. I have probably two names that are in a stable now together. Probably.
Okay.
So Fallon would be one because they've been building her up.
Okay.
And then the one that's been surprising a lot of people is Jasmine Nix.
Okay.
You could have a heel and then sort of have them run through and do whatever, and then all of a sudden, like they sort of how they did with Julia's presentation, which we're probably going to get to at some point. Have her come out, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
we're interested.
I mean, who knows? If it's a current one, I mean, listen, somebody like Lash Legend or Jada Parker.
Jada Parker would be another name.
That's another one.
But I feel like Jada Parker sort of solidified herself to be, after yesterday's performance, to sort of be in the main title card. I think she performed very well. So, but we'll get into that more later on.
Yeah.
But.
Then we have the North American Championship match. Obafemi defeating Tony D'Angelo. I mean, did you expect another result? Because I didn't.
That was obvious.
But Tony D'Angelo held his own. Obviously, power matches. Power matching each other.
And his ankle. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I personally think there's not much for Tony D'Angelo to do, right? I just think you can either go two ways with the D'Angelo family, right? You can call them up, or I think Tony D'Angelo as a heel, the way he was before, could work. I just think like right now, it's just like, he's been taking loss after loss after loss, like in these big matches that you kind of need this like heel turn and kind of like take over shit, right? Um, with Obafemi, like right now, I just don't know who could defeat him right now.
I don't. I
Right?
don't know.
Right, and he's gonna have a dominant run. It's probably gonna be like one. I wouldn't be surprised if he like shatters like the reign of the North American Championship. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Do you think he gets an Oscar type run?
oh yeah, absolutely.
I
Oh, and
think.
speaking of Asuka, breaking news: she just signed a long-term deal with WWE, so she will be staying.
Yeah, I don't see anybody beating Oba right now, unless somebody comes up the card and winds up shooting up and then winds up doing well. I don't think they're going to run Wesley with him again. I don't see
No,
Tony. I don't see Tony D'Angelo running with him. I do see Tony D going to the main roster as a heel, though. What
no.
brand? I don't know. I think it's going to happen whenever they decide they want to do the draft.
Yeah. So
this is a quick match. We knew the results and we knew what was going to happen. But shout out to Tony for doing the match with a messed up ankle.
word. Then we have the NXT Women's Championship match: Roxanne Perez defeating Jada Parker. In my opinion, I think this was the best match of the night. And surprisingly, I'm going to say that because I was just like, I don't know. I know what Roxanne Perez brings to the table, and there's all these question marks about Jada Parker. She answered all of them. I was like, she legit made herself look like a threat. Obviously her power was on display, and she kept up with Roxanne Perez, right? Yep. And
that's why I don't see her jumping down to the North America. That's why I see her staying in the hunt for a while.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense for her to jump down in the card, especially when she's just literally came off a title loss, like a title challenger. I think that eventually she'll be back in it at some point, but obviously they're going to tease her at some point. I don't.
Yeah, no, they're gonna. I think they're gonna keep building up on her. Yeah, they're gonna keep building up on her because she legit made herself look like a threat to to any championship. That's how good her performance was, right? And for for you to wrestle at a big time match in this PLE and you perform the way you did, you're eventually going to get rewarded for that. And
I agree.
Yeah, I think she looked incredible in that match. And again, Roxanne Perez hit the Pop Rocks to defeat Jada Parker and retain the NXT Women's Championship. Now,
can I say something? One thing though, it's not a knock to Roxanne. I just hope that they give her like a secondary finisher at some point because I don't know, the Pop Rocks. I get she's like 5 foot whatever, and she's small, and that's fine.
Made it look weak.
Yes, it's just I don't know. Like I just feel like she needs like a secondary finisher. I'm not saying she can't use Pop Rocks.
Yeah,
but have incorporate like a second finisher, sort of like. I know she does the submission move now, so that's fine. But I think Pop Rock should be more like a signature as opposed to like a finisher. I feel like I don't know, when she did that spot to me with Jada outside in the ring, like on the what was it, the barricade, it just came off as weak. Like not a knock to her because remember again she's short and she's trying to sell.
Yeah, you want something that has more impact, right?
Yeah, like oomph. I'm not saying that it's a bad move because it's it's sort of like a Sunset Flip Powerbomb, which is the name of our podcast, Sunset Flip. But I don't know. I just feel like it needs more of a oomph. And not only that, she's a heel. I feel like she should have incorporated some new type of move to go along with that. I know she got the submission, but still.
What's next for Jada Parker?
She stays in the hunt. I think after what we're going to get into it after this, after Roxanne loses, I think she's going to try to go after Julia, and Julia's just going to run through everybody.
Well, speaking of Julia, she has arrived in NXT as Roxanne Perez was celebrating her victory after retaining. Lights went out, and in comes Julia, has a stare down with Roxanne Perez, and it just that's the matchup you're getting. I
No,
mean,
no,
hey,
that's no. Hey, your championship ring goes goodbye.
Roxanne Perez, Roxanne Perez, I'm a fan of you, but you kept talking down on the women's division and talking about there's no, challenger and nobody could defeat you and all that. And now you're getting Julia.
She's about to get
You're
a
getting
lesson.
Julia.
She's gonna get a lesson in hard hitting.
Listen, that stare down, to be honest with you, it was intense. Again,
and for those who don't know, Julia is one of the hardest hitting women wrestlers out there. So let's prepare for a hard hitting battle because she's going to she is absolutely going to rip apart Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, once the lights went out. I mean, I know like reports throughout the day was saying it would most likely be Julia to debut, but I was also keeping in mind, there's also Delta, there's also Stephanie Vaquera, so I was like, all right, which one of the three, with Julia being the favorite to show up? And of course, it was Julia who arrived at NXT, and
they're gonna go in order. First, Julia debuts, next will be Stephanie Vaquera, then it'll be Delta.
Yeah. So
Makes
Julia had an intense stare down with the Prodigy, and it seems like that's the next feud for Roxanne Perez.
I was hoping that they would do like the remember the back in the day when Samoa Joe was there and he said Joe's gonna kill you. They could have just said that to her.
Oh yeah, of course.
that would have been fucking insane. But the way they presented her was A1. Like they just presented her as just the aura and everything like that was just on point. Like shout out to WWE and congrats on Julia coming to NXT and coming stateside and making a name for herself in New Japan Pro and all the promotions she's been in. It's just insane to finally see her actually stateside and in WWE, and she is going to make mince work of the NXT roster, and she's going to be there for a while.
I wonder if Julia has an Asuka type run or an Io Sky type run, like one of those dominant runs.
I'm telling you, dude, when she goes up to the main roster, I'm not saying that's happening anytime soon. Just the main roster, just think about the main roster with her, Stephanie Vaquera, and Delta.
I think Julia does
Rhea Ripley.
I think Julia does 2 to 3 years in NXT and then it's called up.
Just imagine though, like the future of WWE Women's Division. Rhea.
I know. It's incredible.
Julia, Stephanie. We have Delta. Oh my God, just so many names. You're still gonna have Bailey there.
Roxanne Perez, who's 22 years old.
Tiffany
Stratton. Parker.
Tiffany Stratton, bro.
Future is super bright.
You got names like Cora Jade, who's hella talent. Like it's insane to think what the women's division is going to be 2, 3, 5 years down the line. And you don't forget, you still got Becky, who's there, she's going to be back at some point. There's just the women's division is just on the up. Like it's going to be insane.
And then the main event, the NXT Championship match, All Ego. Ethan Page defeats Joe Hendry to retain. I think with Trick Williams as special guest referee, I think a lot of people expected Trick Williams to turn on Joe Hendry in this matchup.
I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought when people were saying that, I thought they were just talking out their ass. So.
But credit to Trick Williams, who did call the match right down the middle. Showed no favoritism to either his friend or foe.
It makes no sense for him to turn like Trick
right
Williams. Right now. He's first of all, he's white hot as a face.
Yeah,
like that's number one, and number two, they have not shown any indications that he is going to turn. So I mean, I don't know. Like I didn't get that, but it was a good match. I know a lot of fans wanted Joe Hendry to win, but I feel like there's bigger plans in store for Joe Hendry. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I think the bigger plans would be something in TNA, and eventually we'll do a crossover with
the main roster.
So what if we get Worlds Collide and WWE versus TNA, and then TNA brings in another promotion to work with them? So it's like WWE versus TNA versus this promotion.
Who knows? I mean, I always said that
I would love to see champion versus champion.
I think this is a test run to see how people would react to this collaboration between NXT and TNA. And if WWE aka Triple H, feels like this is a success, then they'll do a TNA versus WWE crossover, right? Because a lot of wrestlers in WWE has ties to TNA, and it makes sense to just swap, right?
I just know we know two promotions that'll never work with WWE, unfortunately. They've come out and said they would do it, obviously, but that was because of Vince.
Yeah,
We know AEW probably would never work with WWE,
right,
just because, and we know MLW would never work with WWE.
right.
NWA would be interesting too.
Yeah, I think this match again.
Never say never to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Never say never.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. Solid match, solid main event. There was spots in the match where you thought Hendry was going to claim that NXT championship. All heading Ethan Page with his own move, right? The Ego's Edge. And
you mean the Razor's Edge?
the Razor's Edge, right?
I mean, it really is, but I get that he named it his own thing. It's fine.
But it's very interesting to see how it all plays out in the end, because now it's like, all right, what's next, right, for Ethan Page, right? Who's the next challenger for Ethan Page? What's next for Joe Hendry? Like,
and just one thing. I'm gonna say this. I do miss Scott Hall, man.
Yeah,
I love that wrestlers still use his move and shout out, but Scott Hall was dope, man.
One of a kind. That's it.
One of a kind. I love his speech at the Hall of Fame induction and everything like that. And it was it made me very sad when he passed away suddenly. I'm not getting to hold you to it because he was one of the guys I watched growing up. So I mean,
of course.
Sort of hit the spot. But I love that a lot of wrestlers pay him tribute by using his move and keeping it going. And naming them that, I always call it the Razor's Edge because that's what I knew it as.
Right, of course.
But I'm fine with them naming it whatever. I'm just being a troll and throwing a rib at it. Obviously, that in wrestling you do that. But Ethan Page, I think Trick Williams.
I don't know. See, with Trick Williams,
I feel like it's the Caesar Planet still because obviously there's tension there.
Because all right, the match itself was great. I just think like towards the end, I was just like, I was left there confused because it's like, all right, what's next for Joe Hendry? Well, Joe Hendry might, obviously go back to TNA, or we'll see if there's
Joe Hendry is going after Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander's been running
right, or will there be something bigger in store for Joe Hendry? Now,
I think there's both. I think he's going back to TNA, but I think there's also something bigger in store too.
Yeah, with Ethan Page, it's like, all right, he's gonna have to wait out what Trick Williams and Pete Dunne, because after the match, Pete Dunne attacked Trick Williams, and it's like, my thing is like, all right, what are you really trying to do with Pete Dunne? Because Pete Dunne, has been attacking Trick Williams, and then on Monday Night Raw attacking Sheamus. Like, pick one or the other, but him appearing
his booking is a little confusing to me. Like, I get you're trying to have.
It has been super confusing to me.
I get what they're trying to do because they turn him heel because obviously his tag team partner Tyler Bate is going to be out for a long period of time due to his injury. So shout out to Tyler Bate. Hope you get back soon and whatnot. But I just don't like the booking for him. I think
I see that they're trying to bring it back to the bruiserweight. But I think they
should have did a slow burn for that too. They
right.
should have did this. I think they rushed it, and I think it's sort of backfiring because right now we don't know what is Pete Dunne's intentions. He went after Sheamus, and he was tag team with him for 3 years. Sheamus didn't do anything wrong to him, and then you're going after Trick Williams. Like it makes no sense. You're going after two people at one time. What is your end game to beat the shit out of people? But you're not competing for any championships. You're not competing for any titles. So what is the goal for Pete? It's a confusing booking. That's why I said Ethan Page, because they teased the tension with him. I don't know who would go after Ethan Page. Now, the only person I could think of, honestly, that would go after Ethan Page is somebody who hasn't debuted yet and somebody who's coming.
Ricky Starks, baby.
Ricky Starks.
All right.
That's the only name I could see, unless
we have to get that cough out of the way.
Unless you get Oba.
Yeah, unless Oba moves up. But again, it's like, do you want to risk of having a double champion and then
not necessarily I have Oba lose in a triple threat match and Oba still look strong. You could have that sort of scenario and then have Oba move up. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to say this. I know Oba's been a dominant North American champion. I don't know who challenged him. I'm gonna throw this out there. I think Oba should move up. I think he should move up in the card to the main event card.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But you know, I think this is what his 22nd match in NXT, and he's already North American champion. Like,
is he undefeated? He's undefeated too, right?
Yeah, he's undefeated. Right? Yes, he is. So I'm saying, like, I think.
Oh god, here we go with the Goldberg chants. Here we go. Everybody's gonna be like Goldberg when he comes out over and say that he's gonna tie Goldberg's record. I don't want to hear that.
No. I think when it comes to Obafemi, he can have a dominant North American Championship run, very similar. It doesn't have to be long, but very similar to what Gunther did with the IC title. You can have a dominant run like that, and then again transition into the main event, just like Gunther just did. So, yeah, you could go with that. But yeah,
that'd be interesting.
A lot of wrestling.
A lot of wrestling. My fault for the technical difficulties I had on my end, but I'm glad I was able.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, that will do it on this week's episode of the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast. You can listen to the audio version of this episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to see the full video, check us out on YouTube. You could also check out our link tree at Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast to access past episodes and our social media pages. We're also, again, time and time, we've said it on the podcast, we're also looking to expand our team. So if you're a true hardcore wrestling fan and you're interested in joining a wrestling podcast, please don't be shy and hit us up. We'll discuss, hoping that you would join the team, right?
Preferably with audio and video editing skills. Had to throw that. I mean, you don't have to be a pro.
Your resume out there.
Not to be a pro, but if you love wrestling too and you don't have those skills, you could always talk to us too.
Go to our link tree again. That is the best way to contact us. Again, you know, one more thing that we have to get off our chest, right? When it comes to TikTok, all right. Because I love TikTok.
Oh shit! I knew you were going to go into it. Oh shit!
I love TikTok, but I'm tired of being reported and warned and all this dumb shit. Right?
Oh shit!
When it comes to AEW and their bullshit and Fight TV and their bullshit, right? Like, report us for what? Right? Report our. This is, yes, it is your content, but you're getting a free promotion. Nobody's.
They're multi-billion-dollar corporations. You're getting free promotion that you don't have to pay a person for. That people watch your product, are fans of, that pay cable subscriptions or whatever they pay to watch your product, pay the pay-per-view prices that they're paying in your pocket. Why don't you stop being fucking pompous assholes, having the thumbs up your ass, and just let people promote your content? WWE does it. TNA does it, and they're bigger promotions than you, so they can't promote videos. It's crazy. It baffles me.
So Strike 1 was a violation for Fight TV over AEW content. Then Strike 2 was what? All Elite Wrestling, right? And my thing is, video violation, right? Whatever, and then it says one more violation could result in an account ban, right?
Okay,
so you guys already banned one of our accounts. Now we're not making money out of YouTube, so just simmer down.
Simmer down. We're not.
No. My thing is, this is promoting you. We're promoting wrestling, right?
It's just we're wrestling fans. We're not making
exactly.
We're not making money. We're doing what we're passionate about, what we care about, and other fans and other promoters have done.
Absolute bullshit. Thing. You know, the fact that you have content creators, not us. There's other higher, content creators who are willing to, promote your show, right, by providing analysis, reactions, and all this different stuff for you, for you guys. And for you to just like violate and also throw all these like warnings and copyright.
Keep the videos up on your website. My thing is, why are you doing that to your fans? But my thing is, if you care about your fans, and this is a message to Tony Khan, you care about your fans, you care about your brand. come to a deal with everybody and say, okay, maybe certain content you could post, maybe you have to do this, do that. Have some workaround. Don't just stifle your creators, your content creators, which we're not. We're a podcast. We're a small podcast that's been doing it consistently for a couple years. And there's other wrestling podcasts that don't stifle creativity. Don't stifle imagination. Don't
you won't catch me putting up AEW content on TikTok no more.
They're just not going to promote your content, and that's what it comes down to. And that's what a lot of people have done, and that's not what you want as a wrestling promotion, as a industry.
I had a page. We had a page once, with large following, and because of bullshit like that, it got banned. And we're one more strike away from being banned again for the same bullshit. So that's why on TikTok I refuse to mention or even just put out anything AEW content related. It's stupid because if you allow this is more exposure to you and your company, right? Your dying company. But your
dying company, damn. I take shots like that, damn.
But it is what it is. No, I mean it is what it is at this point. So I mean, you call yourself, AEW, we're the best wrestle, and oh yeah, we have all this over, other promotions. Yeah, well, your attendance speaks for itself.
They just need to come to an agreement with, like I said, content creators, fans alike, what's acceptable to post, what's not acceptable to post. What can you do? If you guys had clear expectations and things laid out, I think it wouldn't be a problem, and I think you wouldn't have the negative backlash that they have right now, unfortunately. But again, what do I know? I'm just an unknown person to them, but
it's crazy. And that's the thing. It's like congratulations, because it's like you created this fear within podcasts and content creators who are like, all right, what can we post, right? And the fact that any post AEW related could be flagged, it could be a warning, and it could ban your account. So it's like, congratulations, AEW, you played yourself. Anyway, so that will do it for us at the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast. Again, thank you everyone for who tuned in. We appreciate the love and support. We'll be coming with another episode this week, probably giving you our AEW predictions for All Out. But until then, till next time.